How many species of humans existed? Hello, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the human being, you, me, what defines us as humans. We're not going to discuss this from a metaphysical point of view, nor when we say what separates us from animals, because animals are also part of it. Today, we are going to talk about humans from the perspective of biology and anthropology. Human beings are those living beings that taxonomically belong to the genus Homo. Yes, whether you like it or not, we are all Homo. We all belong to that genus, which is located between the family and the species in taxonomic categories. The Homo genus has several species, of which we have been able to identify some. We cannot claim to have discovered all of them, as it is likely that we will continue to discover more. But so far, it seems that there were 9 species of humans that inhabited the Earth since the moment we separated from the Australopithecus genus. I say seems because the debate among anthropologists regarding whether some of these species are subspecies continues. Moreover, one of them, which we will discuss later, may not even be a separate species. Considering this, let's proceed with the video assuming that 9 human species coexisted on Earth thousands and even hundreds of thousands of years ago. Out of those 9, only we remain. Let's talk about those 8 species or subspecies of humans with which we once shared existence. Let's start with Homo neanderthalensis, better known as the Neanderthal. It has also been referred to as Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, a subspecies of Homo sapiens, or Homo neanderthalensis, a separate species of Homo. The taxonomic debate revolves around how different their genome became during their genetic isolation from what eventually became Homo sapiens. They didn't change enough to choose not to interbreed or to be unable to produce fertile offspring. In the end, Neanderthals did not go extinct. They were assimilated by Homo sapiens who shared their homeland. A significant portion of the world's population has Neanderthal genes. Neanderthals were robust hunters adapted to the cold European steppes. Now, let's move on to Homo denisova, commonly known as the Denisovan. Denisovans were unknown until 2010 when their genome was first announced. DNA was obtained from the bone of a girl found buried in Denisova Cave in the Altai Mountains of southern Siberia. We know much more about the DNA of Denisovans than their physical appearance, as fossils are extremely rare at the site. Besides the finger bone, a total of 3 teeth have been genetically identified as Denisovan. The artistic representation you see there is not likely an accurate depiction of a Denisovan's physical appearance. Recently, DNA from a small fragment of a long bone belonging to a girl with Denisova Neanderthal parents was also discovered, providing direct evidence that the two groups met and interbred at least once. Unfortunately, we know little about the geographical distribution and demographics of Denisovans, except for the finding that the Aboriginal people of Australia and Papua New Guinea are the only living individuals with a substantial amount of Denisovan DNA in their genome. But although hominid fossils are few moments apart in the Denisova Cave, the deposits contain thousands of stone artifacts. The upper layers also contain artifacts made of other materials, including ornaments made of marble, animal bones, mammoth ivory, and ostrich eggshells. There are also remains of animals and plants that provide evidence of past environmental conditions. This gives us a better idea of how they lived back then. Now let's move on to the popular Homo erectus, which most people have probably studied in school. If you were to encounter Homo erectus on the street today, you would likely notice many differences from modern humans. There would be a certain humanity in their posture, size, and shape, which could be similar to yours, but their faces would be flatter with more pronounced eyebrows. We can have a rough idea of what they look like through fossils of their skulls, such as the one found in Indonesia, where it was first discovered. Subsequently, more remains were found in China, known as the famous Java man and Peking man. The discovery of Java man, originally called Pithecanthropus erectus, was a key piece of evidence supporting Darwin's ideas about human evolution. This enigmatic human ancestor likely evolved in Africa over 2 million years ago, although the exact time of their disappearance is less clear. Studies indicate that the next species we're going to talk about, Homo heidelbergensis, also known as Homo rhodesiensis by some, was thriving in the Middle Pleistocene from around 700,000 to 300,000 years ago. Their fossil remains were found in southern and eastern Africa, as well as Europe. They are considered to have an intermediate skull between Homo erectus and Homo neanderthalensis. The findings show a continuation of evolutionary trends that emerged in the early to Middle Pleistocene. Along with changes in the robustness of cranial and dental features, there is a noticeable increase in brain size. The next species to consider is Homo naledi, which was first described in 2015 based on fossil skeletons found in the Gauteng province of South Africa. in a cave system known as Rising Star, about 50 kilometers northwest of Johannesburg. The discovered remains date back approximately 250,000 years, making them contemporaneous with the larger-brained and anatomically modern humans such as Neanderthals and Denisovans. This leads some to think that Homo naledi may not be a direct ancestor of modern humans, but rather a branch of the genus. Another species to mention is Homo luzonensis, also known as the Calao man because fossil remains were discovered in Calao Cave in Cagayan, Philippines, in 2007, 2011, and 2015. These fossils represent only a handful of highly worn adult teeth, bones from a foot and 2 fingers, and a fragment of a juvenile thigh bone. The small sizes of the worn molars suggest that it may have undergone island dwarfing, although its height cannot currently be estimated. Some have also indicated that the curvature of its digits suggests it may have climbed trees. Let's now take a look at a very peculiar Homo floresiensis, known as the Flores man because it was found on the island of Flores in Indonesia, or popularly known as the Hobbit as some anthropologists call it. It is believed that Homo erectus was the immediate ancestor of the hobbits. It is known that Homo erectus had approximately the same height as modern humans. However, those who claim that Homo erectus is the ancestor of the hobbit believe that due to the limited food supply on the island of Flores, the population of Homo erectus that arrived on the island almost 500,000 years ago underwent a strong insular dwarfism. This resulted in their descendants shrinking over generations. Apart from the difference in size, this hypothesis is based on the fact that the specimens resemble Homo erectus in their characteristics, and it is known that Homo erectus lived in Southeast Asia during the same period as the oldest findings of Homo floresiensis. Further studies are needed to define this more accurately, but it should be noted that no remains corresponding to Homo erectus have been found on the island, let alone transitional forms. Only material evidence suggests that this could have happened. And finally, let's talk about the Cave of the Deer Man, which is still under debate as to whether it represents a new species of human. At the end of the last century, a team discovered fossils in China that had something peculiar. The dating evidence placed them between 14,000 and 12,000 years old, but they exhibited characteristics of archaic humans. If these archaic humans are the ones who lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, those studying the remains hesitate to call this new finding a new species of human. This is because their skulls are anatomically unique and look very different from all modern humans, whether living today or in Africa 150,000 years ago. In addition to the fact that they persisted until almost 12,000 years ago, when we know that people with a very modern appearance were living at the same time to the east and south, it suggests that these hominids must have been isolated from them. Scientists propose that if these hominids were members of a broader population of the Stone Age in East Asia, they might even represent an early and unknown separation of modern humans from Africa. Further studies are needed to clarify this. More studies, but that's the direction we're heading in. For the most part, these species were completely unknown in the early 20th century. Isn't it exciting to think about what is still hidden, waiting to be discovered beneath our feet, buried underground? And that concludes the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more content.